West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing, here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I tell you now, here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
Where their players are active and then they name their squad. No doubt prior to the start of that series, they don't no rush for that from their stand. But Kevin Hodge full of concentration, and John Campbell will make their way out to the middle. Mali Richards has slotted in alongside me. Good morning, Mali. What's in store for us today?
Good morning, Sammy P. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm excited.
This run of the day. Open Eastern City. He likes that shot. We'll just bring him a sink.
Just yet, I see. He's
probing, testing stuff here first, but he'll realize it's test.
Good wrist position, good see. Inside edge from Hodge. Hodge gets to the other end. It's returned to the West Indies team. And
now with that boundary.
The first boundary of the morning. Different action once again, that dub. That's his area. Played with good authority. The amount of times he's been dismissed.
Recognize something that is non-strike.
A lot of confidence from that stroke.
Totally in control. Some might say he's compulsive.
Ball against him yesterday. Very high enough. As you said, he's almost complete yesterday. That if they weren't high enough, it was comfortable.
That's with.
Very comfortable. Yacita Fernando doesn't possess it. If they weren't high enough, it was comfortably well in front of.
He's being patient as a batter. Fortuitous for Camp for one. Last delivery of the previous over. Adjusting because of that. For a drive. Second wicket partnership teams, which is Sundara. Nowhere near the target. 50 partnership between these two. Exactly what they would have done. The batting coach will ball in this session. Not even having a look. You yesterday with the new ball at night. Fourth test match half century. Good aggression, good defense. And John Campbell, quick in the world, not the quickest. Ratnaika moves to. We only had one half set. There is a Silimid on to get straight. Finish. Campbell straight away sweeping. And Campbell will have to negotiate one. From Jasarius. In front of square, he goes behind Squareman. To the left-handed Campbell. Deep square leg and the man at fine leg, Rory Campbell. So subtle his variations into the left-handed Campbell. The major concern. Oh. It will come eventually, but with them
long periods on day one.
Respecting what the opposition is. Single to finish, 101.
What's the issue? It's all down to Sri Lanka. Bounce gets right on top.
Pick that line very well.
Good batting, as you were saying earlier, Steve, which he likes in his bounce. Gets right on top.
Really well so far. So he's on his knees. And but Kevin Hodge wants to have another.
Decided to go
TV
upstairs.
Basil area delivery. Can I have a look at the outrage? Yeah, roll it. Do you have any other angle to has hit the bat first before second now?
Of course it was. One was lucky enough to get some back.
Himself on from the
Another boundary. Searching for his first. Yes, just allowing his hand enough contact. Not in control, but he will take it. But the partnership, more importantly, is after that first half. There's Kusal Mendes. Well, barring that one chance, I'd expect short deliveries. But batting from John Campbell, night to ensure that he had a free hit. So there was just a solitary and another boundary takes. Reminds me of you on the dance floor quickly. So first of all, it's about 10 minutes when his wrist cramped. Very poor execution. Go 72, it's 120 and Turion. Player out to the but and they revert to a Asita Fernando. Oh my word. First of all, it's about 10 minutes when his wrist cramped. Very poor execution. At this point in time, inexplicable. There was a short fielder behind the shot. Buys will wait to see. That's 130 overs. Might be the first session on the end of Cup, perhaps. What deemed to be the Batman for Django, the stumps. That's what I did for left hand deliveries for his.
One of particular ends as well, just trying to see, as you mentioned, that rough outside the left.
Speaking about and brilliant stuff from
And planning from Sri Lanka able to keep it down. He was pressed with that wicket.
hope for the West Indies. The first one is his capabilities really. Just saw when that ball pitched off for the West Indies and it's a left and north.
Previous over. Finally hit high up on the bat as well.
Adjustment from the first over of Kevin Hodge rather. Positions. Though
Yeah, Upton. Lots happening out there. Dismissal of John Campbell.
let's have a closer look at that. Too close in my estimation.
Ported the other bowlers in that first match. No, it didn't go so in that wicket taking delivery.
And like I mentioned, they have the protection of wicket. Can't actually the same field for him as well.
Bit late and short.
He will do some translation for us. Something for his captain, taking opportunities in a test match where
He's a true professional. I said it well also. Has a number of areas. A certain and it's amazing.
technique and keeping your hands close to your body. It's not too dissimilar, close to his body as much. You just have a look at leg side. Yes. What is that was there? Kevin Hodge, he says he's not. I'm not there. Then nice and slow.
Kevin Hodge come turn as well, and as Sri Lanka, they go back for 31. West Indies.
Hodge, this long video comes to fire, caught behind, probably. Confidence. Scored with good best of 202 here. Calvin Hodge.
Some highlights there of the third day of the ongoing second test match between West Indies and Sri Lanka. As they would say, West Indies were in the customary spot of bother, but they rallied to the end of the day, ending on 318 for 4, chasing 549. Justin Greaves and Shea Hope at the crease. They're both in their 80s. A recovery, I think the partnership almost 200. Almost 200. Welcome. Yes, we're back after more than a year. And I have endured for an entire year the inquiries, the cussing, the abusing, and it got too much. It got too much when I saw a comment on my Friday program. Dr. I love politics, but I love sports and culture. And what happened to the Sunday night program? And I decided, well, if a lady is going to abuse me about the cricket program, I'm really out of order. Please share the link. It's our first day back. We're going to try to cover as much ground as we can. My spin twins. We're back to quartet now, pace quartet. We're back to the pace quartet, so we'll have to get a fourth person. But Basil Butcher Jr. and Vince Adams, they are here with me tonight, and we are, as usual, going to start with the present and see how we can work our way through and work our way back. So please, those of you who are on, please share the live, share the link. It's good to see some of you. You didn't get any notice. I put out the flyer this morning, so not very much notice. But it's good. It's good to see some of you are here. Vincent, Basil, welcome back. And don't beat me up.
Nah, you get enough beaten up that time, but I'm glad to be back, Dr. Hinds, and I'm glad to be back and welcome to our devotees, our Sunday afternoon devotees.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Hinds. Good evening, Vincent. Yeah, good to be back. Because, yes, Dr. Hinds, whenever I have ventured into Guyanese in forums where there is a lot of Guyanese in the last year, I have always been asked what happened to the Sunday program.
And you know, I mean, I have been paying attention. I have a little bit more time now, and I've been paying attention to what do you call it, algorithms, and I am continually amazed at the reach of these programs. You know, you go to Barbies, and I went to Christianborg. And the young people are telling me in Christianborg, you know, they're showing me where Vincent where Vincent used to live, and they asking me what happened to the Sunday program, and so on. And I'm continually amazed at the reach of these programs. And sometimes you think people are not watching, people are not listening, and they are. And
Dr. Hinds, and many of those people who inquired to me would say, "Man, I used to set up every Sunday to look at you guys," you know. And I said I was passing the word on to Dr. Hinds.
And it's completely me. I have to take responsibility because, of course, I'm back home now in the village. And Sunday afternoon is candle afternoon. I don't think the young people will know what is a candle, but christening afternoon is it's board day. After everybody doing the 70th and the 60th and so on, is funeral afternoon. Is then by said that times the whole week we can't interfere with you all week, but Sunday afternoon we got interfere. You got come for drink and so on. So back to the Sunday grind of living in a village. I really thought that the rhythm of the villages had changed, and there's no difference between Sunday and Friday anymore, or Thursday people do anything anyhow. But there's some traditions that still live on. So I found it very difficult to disentangle myself on Sunday afternoon, but duty calls. Lots have been happening in the last year, but here we are. West Indies are playing Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is here for a tour. They won the internationals. Sri Lanka won 1-0 after the last two matches were washed out. And then the T20, West Indies were able to win 2-1. And here we are in the test matches. And I found myself, and this is by way of question to you, I found pinching myself. West Indies made 629. West Indies bowled down Sri Lanka and won a test match within 4 days. It's when you're old as we are, you can put your life in compartments. The days when we did that, just like that, a click of a finger. And the recent days when those things come far and in between. And here we are in the second test match. The bowling didn't click as much as it should, because I think the fielding is letting us down. We getting the bowling right, we getting the batting coming along, and then the fielding let us down, and we are chasing 500 and odd. And today, a spot of bother, and then we recovered. Basil first. Have you detected in the last year any qualitative change?
No, I would say this. I expected Sri Lanka to struggle against the West Indies, for the mere fact our fast bowling would give the Sri Lankan batters trouble. And I would say this in the first test, Sri Lanka got the worst end of the stick in terms of batting conditions on that first day. I feel if West Indies had batted first on that pitch, the game would have been a totally different game. We got the easiest end of the stick, and I'm not taking anything away from the West Indies. They did, as we say in Ghana, when you catch a mook, you gotta bust it back. Where we got them with the fastest bowler down, right? After 1 over, he pulled up and on a flat wicket, and we took advantage and scored over 600 runs. And Sri Lanka just folded like a cheap tent, right? This game around now, we got a flat wicket. I'm somewhat disappointed in these pitches because at least it could have been something closer to what we saw in the first class. Wickets that would be a little bit more juicy. The men got to really bat. Not to say I don't want to see the ball taken off, flying off, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to see something resembling a wicket that would got some seam and bounce and pace that would challenge the batters. And this game here, this wicket, he look even more. I mean, it's still got some bunks and so on, but it's a batting wicket because you saw some of the shots that were played where men were able to stand and deliver with efficiency. That tells you how true of a pitch it is playing. But to your larger question, qualitative, nah, not at all.
Vincent, do you share Basil's view?
Well, I think I share his view in that I didn't expect that Sri Lanka was gonna be a difficult opposition here in the West Indies because of the same reason Basil talked about, because of the pace that we have, I know that we're gonna throw them. But I'm like Basil. I thought that we would have had faster wickets for this series, especially since we're going all out attack pace. But apparently our wickets, except for probably St. Lucia, all of our wickets are dead. But I think it's a good sign, and well, I can't say lucky because these things happen in cricket. But the one thing that we had a partnership, so it's not a case where we played well throughout the game. It was just that one partnership that happens once in a lifetime, especially with the West Indies. That one partnership with Django and Chase, and I believe, and Basil knows what I always like Django, and always thought that he should have always been in the West Indies team a little while back to stabilize this batting because he reminds me a lot, like I always say, late Charlie Davis, you know, some reverence to him in his passing, one of the great West Indian batsmen. But Django stabilized that batting. We had that partnership with him and Chase, and what I think it has done to the team, it's telling them that, hey, you know something, this here is, we can do this, and I believe I think it had an effect on today's play too, with the kind of batting and the way that they batted today, except of course for Campbell again with his. I mean, I don't know what gets into that guy's head sometimes. The way that
it's Basil boy, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Dr. Hinds,
yes,
he could be my boy, but I am not going to sugarcoat my critique. I don't play sentiments. This guy gets too many brain farts when he bats. Continue, Vincent.
Yeah, but I believe, and this here will set the mental psyche of these batsmen. That partnership with Django and Chase, and if you notice, even Hope, not Hope, not Hope, the Hodge, even Hodge. If you notice how Hodge batted today. Hodge, he batted very slowly, but I believe their psyche right now, looking at that long in end with Chase and Django, is to bat long. And if you notice, that was all hit, and I think he overdid it, to be honest, because I think he got knocked down.
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking to score; he was just looking to be there for a long time. But you see what had happened there, and I said this. What Django has done is now all of them batsmen who is vying for a place or who's not certain, it drive fear in them now. So they're trying to and Hodges wanted though because he would be the first one to go. So he overdid it. I think he got there. He wanted to bat along because he knows that his place is in jeopardy, and I think he overdid it. But I think it's a sign of a turning point, that partnership, and I think that it has an impact on how they batted today. And of course, unfortunately it's a Sri Lankan team that we had to play here, because I don't think it with an Australia or an English team or a New Zealand team it would have been the same. But anyway, I think it's a transition, but I would not say that we've turned the corner really. I think it's a good sign, because again, we are not proving anything on these flat wickets. That has been our dilemma when we get out of here to go to play in England and New Zealand and Australia. We see what the results are, and it's because of these type of flat wickets. I really don't understand the thinking of the governance of West Indies cricket to be continue to be making the same mistake. We play well at home, and when we go abroad on wickets that are not like ours, we fail completely, and it will happen again. It will happen again.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, I just want to say this way. As I said, I'm gonna repeat that square we saw in the first class season. How that square played, the game with Guyana, the game with Leeward Islands, and the final. And this pit, the same square, now has gotten so desolate, right? They've gone like 180. They still have the bunks. It still has bunks, but outside of that, nothing else.
And especially when you play, you're playing four seamers now. You know, you've got four seamers, and especially against a team like Sri Lanka, I would.
That's right.
I mean, that's you've got because it's not you're not afraid of the Sri Lanka quicks.
They ain't got nobody quick there.
Yeah, they ain't got nobody. You're afraid of their spin. So set the wickets so that you can give some advantage to your quicks. If you're gonna have four of them, it's really five.
Yeah, right.
If you're counting Greaves,
If it's counting Greaves. Basil, and I think Vincent touched on it, but I want to get your thoughts, and then I'll go back to Vincent to get his thoughts. Today was crucial. We're chasing 549. We're one up, so you either looking to win, and secondly to draw. Thirdly, not to lose. And so I was interested in this third day. And Hodge's batting, I think, fitted in with the strategy that you win or you draw. We can't lose. And so occupation of the crease is very important. I also think that he overdid. Am I thinking too far to say that there was some good strategy today out there in the batting?
I with Hodge, I can't say so. At the end of the day in Test cricket, this is the first inning. You got to score runs, right? Because you suppose you block, and you're still behind like 250, and a couple good balls, and we next thing you know, we 7 down, but we block, and we still down by 200, right? And they go in with 150 lead. Now they would be feeling good about themselves in terms of pressing for a victory, because we got a bat last on the wicket, obviously would start to wear and all those kinds of things. So you got to be somewhat positive and don't let the bowling get on top of you. And the thing about it, you can be positive in both defense and looking to score. You look at Hodge, 31 runs in 100 and 120 something, 100 somewhere in that vicinity of balls, right? He hit 2 fours. So when you take out the fours and you add up how many dot balls were in between, I think that's too much. One thing you're allowing the bowling attack to bowl at you over and over and over and over. And the key in Test cricket, one of the keys in Test cricket is to try to get down to the other end. You don't want the bowlers to get a chance to keep going at you, because that's what they want, right? So I think Hodge got to be a little bit more positive. This partnership with Hope and Graves is reminiscent of how the two of them batted when they saved the Test match in New Zealand, when Graves made a double and Hope made 100. Is reminiscent of that. I mean, Hope had one close call, and lucky for him, it was an inside edge. Outside of that, I didn't really see the Sri Lankan bowlers really really bother them much. There was, the every now and then, the ball beat the outside edge of the bat. That's Test cricket for you. But then on the same side, the minute, because these Sri Lankan bowlers, because they're not that quick, their margin of error is minimal. And the minute they miss, I saw some shots today, the times that I watched, I saw Graves just stood and delivered and trashed them through the covers, and that told me how good the pitch is. That you could trust your hands. There was no foot movement. It was all hands as he trashed them through the covers. As the commentator said at the time, stand and deliver.
Vincent, both you and Basil have made reference to the strength or lack thereof of the Sri Lanka team. And something, it bothers me with West Indies cricket too, and so on. Here you had a couple of weeks ago, Asaranga and the other spin bowler, what's his name?
Tika something?
Tika Singh or whatever.
Yes.
Here you had these two spin bowlers mesmerizing West Indies batsmen. A couple of weeks later, you're playing Test match and they're not in this team. What?
Not only that, Dr. Hinds. Chimara, the fast bowler. I mean, he's a 90+ man.
Yes.
Why he's not playing in the Test match?
Yeah.
I'm asking you all to tell me
about
something that I don't know.
Yeah. Then the other guy that bowls at 90+, that bowls like Malinga, he didn't come. The youngster, he didn't come. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's injured. They had him. The other Malinga who bowls just like Malinga, he was here. But the one that bowls at 90+, who was in the Caribbean when they had the last youth cricket tournament, he was part of that Sri Lanka under 19 team, along with the left arm spinner. Those two. He didn't come. I don't know if he's out with injury, but he's the other 90+ guy. And none of the two of them are playing in Test cricket. And the other one, who is 90+, Kumara, pulls up in 1 over. Right? And that same Kumara, if you would remember, he was the one that started Mr. Hope on his hopping and skipping to the short ball, because he stuck Hope up the time when we played that pink ball test in Barbados, when Sri Lanka beat us, if you remember. He was the one that really got on top of Hope. And from that game, Hope looked very shy to the short ball. So I was really interested in seeing that duel again, so to speak. But he pulled up, and we won't get to see it.
Cricket has become a business, Dr. Hinds, and of course I don't know why Hasaranga is not on the tour, but I could just imagine Hasaranga is a big star on the circuit, and I'm not sure, what the remunerations are, what package they get to come to the West Indies. To be honest, I really don't know what the financial package is to come to a tour in the West Indies. So them guys looking at, in my opinion, just on looking at things on the surface, we face the same thing in the West Indies with some of our stars.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys are looking, is it economic? And I might go to the West Indies for what? And then I get injured, and then that's going to impact. And Hasarang and them guys are getting, I don't know how many more years they have in terms of their cricket. So those guys are trying to make as much as possible and to stay as healthy as possible. But yeah, and I'm like Basil, I missed that quick Chimara.
Chimera, yes.
Chimera, yeah. I was surprised that.
Me too.
But I don't know what's the reason behind it, and nothing came out as far as I know in terms of injury or anything sort with people. So it has to be their decision, and I believe it's economic. But Dr. Hinds, going back to your question about this strategy, I don't think it's a strategy, because normally you don't set that kind of a strategy in your fourth inning unless the wicket is playing some kind of weird way. In your fourth inning, especially facing that big total, what you're gonna tell your batters, listen, take your time, but you cannot go bog yourself down. You've got, because it's the worst advice you can give anybody is to play defensive. The only time you play defensive to save a game is in the fourth inning, because in the fourth inning you go and start playing defensive. That's exactly what I would love it as a fielding captain. I would attack you and you put pressure on yourself and that batting. And when you lose the wicket, the other batsmen are coming in without no runs on the scoreboard. You're putting pressure on them too. I believe what happened to Hodge, because this was really uncharacteristic. What happened to Hodge? Hodge is looking over his shoulder. That double that Jackson did. Hodge is looking over his shoulder and realize that he is the batsman who's now vulnerable. You can't drop no other batsman in the team right now. He's the one. He's batting with fear. He's scared to death to save his place. And you can see it in his batting. That's not how he bats. But and I think somebody should have told him, well, hey, play your game, and because that's not his game. And when you get outside of how you're used to playing, you're putting more pressure on yourself and on the team, huh? And maybe that's the reason why Campbell probably felt pressure that he had to move things along to play that ceiling. I don't know. I couldn't believe it. He survived the hard part of it. He survived it on 72.
The guy had a test 100 on the tins, man.
Easily.
If you guys remember something, you remember in 1998 when Lambert came back into the West Indies team, playing in Barbados. He made 50 something or something. And you remember how slow he batted? You remember that?
Yeah.
Everton Weeks criticized him bitterly for that, along the same lines like with Hodge. Said this guy was not batting for the team. He was batting to save a place for himself because he just got back into the team. Well, I could understand Lambert. You was in the wilderness for 7 years and you get back in the team. You want to make sure you put a score on the board. And the same thing with Hodge. But Hodge got to realize that could also impair him from getting picked for the going forward, because they can say, look, you batting a little too slow, right? But I agree with Vincent. I think Hodge is batting looking over his shoulder because Mr. Django has put the cat among the pigeons, right? Mr. Django upset the whole apple cart because I believe Django was not going to be playing in that first test had Hope been fit.
No,
they would have played the Silver. Right. They would have played the Silver, would have played as a batsman. Hope would have win wicket keeping. But Django grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and I would say 4 hands, because when you make a double century, there is no way you are getting dropped, right? You have picked yourself for the next, not only this series, for the next series, right? And now Hodge sees himself in this situation. And to what Vincent said in terms of Hodge, we have a very contemporary situation. Look at how Mitchell batted in the third inning, in the third test for New Zealand. Mitchell had to dig in and bat like what he is doing, what Hope was doing. But he was batting to put New Zealand in a position so they would give England a good score in the fourth inning. You don't do that in the second inning of a test match. That got to be in third or fourth inning.
Yep, and remember too, Dr. Hinds, look at how Hope and Greaves batted. So it couldn't have been their strategy, because those guys played their normal cricket. They played their shots when it came. They played some exquisite shots.
Yeah.
So they played their shots. And again, this is no terrorizing attack. This here is like a Sunday afternoon Case Cup game in the
Agreed.
Basil dropped the name just now, De Silva. And a year ago and change, Basil on this program basically said that De Silva is a poor wicket keeper.
Yeah, I maintain that still.
Right. Since then, he has made a lot of runs in the domestic competition, and I suppose the selectors felt a pressure to bring him back, especially since the better wicketkeeper, Imlak,
Right.
didn't score as many runs in the domestic competition. And so the silver comes back, and immediately his weaknesses showed up. Basil, start us off. What is, as the young people would say, would ask, what is the silver's problem?
Look. I'm gonna start firstly with the recalling of the silver, and this is where I got a serious problem. The silver was dropped because of his wicket keeping, and he had poor form with the bat. I've watched the silver wicket keep over the period since he was dropped. I saw nothing that I could say he has improved as a wicket keeper. His footwork remains very ordinary. He doesn't have much lateral nor vertical. I didn't see no improvement in that. I look at the way he receives the ball with the gloves. The same thing. So my position is this: if I dropped a guy, a wicketkeeper, and one of the reasons he got dropped was his role as a wicketkeeper, he was not fulfilling that role in the way I feel he should. Right? Firstly, before he can be recalled, he has to have shown me that those areas of his wicket keeping that we felt you were below par, you have come up to par. I don't care if you make 1,000,000 runs, because at the end of the day, you still gotta catch the ball behind the stumps. Because we've had this debate. This has been ongoing recently, and one guy wanted to say to me, modern day cricket, the wicket keeper 75 batting, 25 wicket keeper. I said, no. I don't agree with that. I think it's more 60% wicket keeping and 40% batting. Because if it was 75% to 25, you would see more wicket keepers averaging almost 40 or over 40. And that's not the case, right? Only the exception. Look at this guy. In my view, it would be probably between him and Blundell from New Zealand, Carey from Australia and Blundell from New Zealand, to be the two best wicket keepers in the world right now. Neither of them are averaging 40. Both of them are really good batters, but they're not averaging 40. Their wicket keeping, their excellence of wicket keeping is what is keeping them in the team along with their batting, because a wicket keeper is an all-rounder today. It's not like what we knew about in the 70s and before that, where you had guys who was superb wicket keepers and some of them were not really that great as a batter, right? So it's more now as an all-rounder role. And the silver did not show me that he improved his wicket keeping adequately enough that would get a recall. In my view, I'll tell you, I would have been picking Jamar Hamilton. He would have been the wicketkeeper for me, right? With Imlak's batting woes, Hamilton is just under Imlak in terms of wicketkeeping glove work, and he's a competent batter, right? He ain't gonna be batting at 5. He's gonna be batting at 7. If we get a 30-40 from him, that is good, and make sure he catches everything that comes to him, right? I'm not concerned about his age, because we picking a guy to play now. We're not picking a guy. We're looking to him to play for the next 5 years. He playing now. We got a bunch of young wicket keepers on the horizon. If he can play for the next several test matches, because now these days what we got, 6 test matches a year, 8 test matches a year, you know what I mean? So I would have picked Hamilton, but we went back with the same mentality. Okay, Silver made a lot of runs, time for him to come back into the test team.
Vincent?
Yeah, I think I understand the logic of picking the silver. And it was because of Imlak's poor form, right? I think Imlak's poor form as a batter, and they decided to take the chance. They probably looked at Imlak and look at the silver and say, here, we're gonna lose a little bit on the wicket keeping side, but this batting. The other thing is, you can't tell me that. I don't think anybody has confidence in this batting lineup in terms of stability and consistency. And I think they realized that they've got a suspect batting lineup, and they wanted to make sure that they can, they want to strengthen that batting. And the Silva is the batsman on form. Imlach is not making a whole lot of runs in the past season, and they decided we're gonna take the chance, and risk it with giving up a little bit on the wicket keeping side, but strengthening this batting, and of course, backfired because, in all fairness, I don't think anybody. I don't think in all of his years of wicket keeping, he has done that badly behind his stump. It was one of those things. He had a horrible day in dropping those catches and stuff like that. Which means that I don't think that he'll ever put on the glove again. He better start practicing the field and but
Basil,
I believe that's
no,
I
no,
believe
you
that's
can't
the
finish
logic.
things,
I
sense.
believe that's the logic.
Basil,
Mm.
if the Silva had not stopped a half century
Yeah, I mean, the Silva,
in that
I think, I mean, he compounded his wicket keeping woes with not making a score.
not
That's
taking it.
exactly
Right.
correct.
Yes.
And that is is on the strength of his batting. He was recalled, and then he failed there too. So he did what he did to get out of the team. Failed with the gloves and the bat, and that's why I was not surprised. I thought he would have been dropped for this test match. There were those who
Yeah.
said, "No, you can't drop the man after one test." I said, "Look, I had heard through the grapevine that Hope was going to take back the gloves. The Silva was not selected to be the wicketkeeper of the team,
But
right?
Hope look good behind his
Right.
stuff.
And yeah, Hope was taking back the gloves, but he must have fell on his shoulder doing drills or whatever, and he was out for the test. So obviously, the Silva is the next man up in terms of gloves, and he was given. He went back behind the stumps. But I from what I was told that Hope, and then look, the second test, we see Mr. Hope with the gloves.
Is it too much? Well, Hope is keeping in all three formats now.
Mhm.
He is certainly our top keeper in the one day, our top batsman in the
Mhm.
one day internationals. I don't know too much about Ian 2020, T20. And in this batting lineup, he's expected in the test
Yeah.
matches to contribute. Is it too much with him
Well,
putting on the gloves in all three formats?
yeah, well, that time will tell, because earlier we were talking about why Hasaranga, the other off spinner, the mystery guy, finger spinner, Tika, why Chimara, those guys are not playing in the test team. And I was in a conversation, part of a panel in which Jason Holder was part of the panel, and the discussion came up, and I asked him about this, why about the whole recovery and those things. What would you tell a young player and so on? And one of the things Jason said, he tells young players, look, you can't play three formats. It's almost next to impossible now to play three formats consistently, because it's too much cricket, and to get your body right to for the demands of playing three formats. It's a rarity to see guys who would play three formats consistently in world cricket today. You will always see them having to take a break here or there. I mean, it's interesting right now. England with Harry Brook, how that is going to work out, because Harry Brook is the captain of the white ball team, and he's one of the main batters in the test team. And England plays a lot of test cricket, unlike the West Indies or some of the other smaller nations. How is that going to work out with the load that is the demands that is going to be he's going to have to meet? And that was Holder's position. And he said one of the things is, as he's gotten older, he is learning better how to take care of his body. and so on. And he said, look, I asked him also, because the year ago he was on the same program with us, and on that program he had said, this was before Australia series, he had said he was available to play Test cricket for the
Test
West
cricket, I remember that.
Indies, right? And so I asked him again, and he said yes and no. And the yes and no was because he said, I don't know at this moment right now, my body is able to withstand what I would need to do to get ready to play a test match. He's not saying he wouldn't want to play, but right at this moment, you see. And one of the things he said is, and it seems to be a struggle in terms of planning, right? And it seems that a guy who was put in the work for West Indies, he has credit, so to speak. The authorities are not able to give him guarantees, right? But you know what Holder brings to the table. You could say, yeah, Jason, you're gonna get picked to play expect test match. I mean, this is not any other player, but you listen to things in between the lines. And it doesn't seem as though he has the same relationship with CWI when he was under central contract, that now he's a free agent.
Yes.
Right?
And I think at the end there you're getting into the real story. I listened to him in his little tribute to Roach.
Mm-hmm.
Said, man, I wish the only thing that is missing, I wasn't there on the field with you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I looked at his facial expression, his body language, and it took me back to a year ago, as you said, that he said he was available for Test cricket. And what bothers me is somebody of that talent, somebody with that capital.
Correct. I'll tell you this. I was taken aback that a guy of his stature would be getting nickel and dime, so to speak. I would call it nickel and dime from the cricket authorities, because we have seen other parts of the world where players of similar stature do not get nickel and dime by their authorities. And unfortunately, I didn't get to ask because there was a guy on the panel from New Zealand, a cricket journalist, but he dropped off, because I wanted to ask him, because New Zealand has been in this situation for the last several years with several of their big name players who opted out of central contracts to be a free agent, but they were able to develop a plan with them how to play a schedule, so to speak. But
Jimmy Neesham, for example.
Yeah, and we are not able to do so. So very interesting.
Vincent, come in here.
Well, let me start it this way. I know y'all talking about Holo. The hardest part of cricket is wicket keeping. Okay, a lot of people say is the quicks. The quicks is you bowl, you get a spell, you go down in the boundary, relax. That's why you said you just put them on the boundary. When we done bowl, you 20 overs or so in a day, you go in. The wicketkeeper has to be in the game every single delivery, bending your knees, standing up, and then it's mentally you got to be seeing the whole field. So it's not only physical, it's mental, and that's why in no team would I want a wicketkeeper to open batting. But anyway, I don't think it's so much playing the three formats. I think of course every player is different in terms of their physical makeup and how they carry themselves, etc., in terms of staying fit. I think because if you play three formats and they're all international for your country, I think it's different. But it's all of the IPLs and the CPLs and everything else that interplay. And I think that's why I'm saying everything has become now very commercial, and you can't blame the players. They've got to protect themselves to make to have a long cricket longevity. And so I think that's what it is. It's all of the other cricket in every part of the planet now, there's an eye. I even look at our eye in the United States of all places.
Mhm.
But every part of the planet now,
Oh,
people,
yeah.
you're not getting any rest, and I believe that is what it is. Um, that would cause a problem. Somebody like a Hope, because remember that if he plays all three formats internationally, then he plays in these other IPLs and everything else. And then on top of that, he's a top order batsman. And a lot of times in the West Indies team, as even let me say the field force, he comes in there. Remember, he's bending every single delivery. He comes in. The next thing you know, 2 wickets down, or you open batting. So somebody like a Hope, I can see where it's really it would be really strenuous for him.
Yeah, I mean, when Jason says three formats, he means that you it's not just international, because remember, we don't play a lot of international T20 cricket, right? The T20 cricket is going from domestic league to domestic league, right? And a lot of these leagues, from one league finish. Let's give an example. Say if you played in the IPL ended in May, and as a West Indian cricketer, you had to come back. You had to come back home, and our domestic first class season was going on. Say then you went into that. You come back from IPL, you go into the domestic first class season. Shortly thereafter that, we have the white ball series with Sri Lanka, then goes into a test series. Then as soon as that test series is done, we got a 5-match ODI with New Zealand, right? And then after that is done with New Zealand, we play against Pakistan. And after Pakistan is done, it's the CPL. Then after the CPL is done, shortly thereafter, we head off to India, right? So that almost non-stop cricket combining with the domestic and the domestic T20 leagues with international fixtures is where the problem lies. The cricket is so compacted now. That's why players gotta ask for a break.
And then again, I want to reemphasize again, because it's very important. In the case of Hope is a top order batsman.
The best in the team at that.
He opens batting, and when he opens batting, it's not a case where the regular we could keep a bats at 7 or 8 or wherever. Hope opens batting, especially in the for smaller formats, 20 and the ODIs. So Hope might be out there, bending out as soon as he gets in. Next thing you know, you got to pad up, comes out again. You got to focus. It's not easy in his role that he plays for the West Indies. It's not easy.
And we're not going to be able to cover everything, but there are a couple of things we must cover. Mr. Roach, reaching the milestone of 300 test wickets. And Basil, I'm going to bring you in here because you were the man with an instinct for these things.
Yes.
About a year ago, I got the distinct impression that they were finished with Roach.
Well, the director of cricket said as much. We've moved on. He was on the same show. And Phil Wallace asked him, and he said we have moved on from Roach. Roach only got back into the side, as far as I'm concerned, because of the injury to the two Josephs that they weren't able to go to New Zealand.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I really think those injuries is why Roach still got back into the team.
Yes.
And look, Roach played one test match and he out again. In New Zealand, he couldn't play the third one, if I'm mistaken, because he pulled up or something, or pulled up in the third one. Right? So it's obvious at this stage of his career, he's struggling to play an entire series. Right? How they're gonna continue to work this out. But obviously I knew Roach his desire was to get that milestone of 300 test wickets, which he has gotten. So it'll be interesting to see how longer they pursue with him. In terms of playing back-to-back tests might be a little bit too much for him at this stage of his career. Who knows? Because we have seen it now in two consecutive series that he's played. But I gave him kudos. There's some of those. A question was asked: do I think he's a great fast bowler? I said no. I think he's a very good fast bowler, but I don't put him in the bracket of great. The, the
Vincent
achievement,
Adams.
the
No,
achievement.
I totally agree with Basil. As a matter of fact, I never thought that he was a great. He's, he reminds me very much like we had a good, we used to call him, he was a good cricketer in, you remember Basil?
Yeah,
The
that's
walk, you give them the ball, they're gonna bowl till how much you want. He was that kind of a cricketer, steady. He works hard. Obviously, he keeps fit. Yeah, of course, we see him breaking down, but then after a certain time, age, you can't control age. But I think we all agree that he would not have played in this series or not play again had the two quicks not been had they been available. And I don't see him coming back. And then again, and another thing is because we're playing in the West Indies, and he does well in
Yeah,
West.
he,
You know,
he has been outstanding at home, but he has been average at best away from home. And that's one of the reasons why I don't put him in the bracket of great, because away from is you as a player is what you do. One of the keys for me in rating players is what you do away from home. Plays a huge role when you could go outside of your conditions you're not accustomed to and still excel, right? That's one of the keys to me when I gonna grade a guy as great rather than being a good player. You
yeah,
know?
but congratulations. I mean, like
Oh
I
yeah,
said, he deserves it for his hard
oh
work
yeah,
and
oh
dedication.
yeah.
No question.
I mean, it's a an achievement of endurance.
Yes, yes.
Um, how many of our fast bowlers have played eight and nine test matches? Not many. You go down the list. It's only Ambrose and Walsh. When you go down the list, nobody else can get to 8 and 9 test matches.
no.
All
Yeah,
the rest of them in the 60s and
Marshall
below.
was 81.
Right,
yeah.
right.
But I don't see him. I don't expect. What we've got to do in the West Indies, we've got to focus. I think we've got a good crop of quicks right now. I think we've got an excellent crop of. We got to make sure that we keep them fit more than anything else, and keep them ready to go at all
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
And then of course you got Reeves, who is, I think it's one of the biggest finds within the last year or so within this team.
Yeah, yeah. We've been away for a year. Um, talk to me about Shamar Joseph. I'll start with you, Vincent. Um,
You know,
improvement, improvement,
yeah, no, he
refine.
has.
Yeah,
I think he has. No. I think because you remember when he started. Of course, he had that miracle game. I think he's not he isn't where he should have been as far as I'm concerned. The one thing, he's got the pace, the line and length. That should be the easiest thing when you get some experience. And I don't think I think he depends a whole lot on pace, but I think he should have been much far along. Well, not much farther along, but I think that he should have been, doing better in terms of his line and length. Sometimes and his inconsistency. You would give him a ball in a certain spell, and he's right on the money, and then another spell he would come on and he would be all over the place with line and length. When you've got that pace, you have to keep that batsman worried, just around that off stump, whether they should play or not, and not leaving alone. We always, Lord, do not waste, especially the fast bowler. Every delivery that you bowl, you're expending energy, and you better make sure that it's worth it. It's doing something. And but I think he's gonna continue to develop. But I think, in my opinion, he should have been farther along.
Basil, including your response, the fact that both he and Alzari have not been given the new ball, but I noticed they give him the new ball in this match. Include that in your response.
I think one of the problems with Joseph is because he's had quite a few injuries that's kept him off the field. The only way you get better is playing. If you're not playing, you're not gonna be better. You're not gonna get better, and that's to me one of the factors in his not as Vincent correctly saying where he felt he could be. But it's interesting. The guy has a phenomenal record despite that, because I was listening where they said in the history of Test cricket, fast bowlers with 50 or more wickets, he has the lowest strike rate. So one thing about him, he continues to pick up wickets at regular intervals.
At almost 5 per test match.
Yeah, so he continues to, in terms of that. But I agree with Vincent, at times the inconsistency, and you saw it in the first class season for Guyana, where at times where he was all over the park, and I chalk that up to not playing enough cricket. Right? It would take him sometimes to get to the second spell to see the consistency you want to see because of the lack of cricket. Right? And that is something West Indies will have to figure out, because he is not a guy that is much sought after around the world to play in these T20 leagues. So how are you going to get this guy to play more cricket so he can be at the peak of his game when the international bell rings? Alzari Joseph is interesting, this thing with the new ball, but I think for some reason it is thought that Alzari is not as effective with the new ball as, well, obviously Jaden Seals, because if you remember, Alzari was in the team when Jaden Seals made his debut, and Jaden Seals bowled a new ball, and Alzari still had to come for his change, right? So that tells you how they feel about Alzari with the new ball, But Alzari bowls a new ball when he plays for Leeward Islands, so that's an interesting thing. They feel Shamar Joseph is more effective with the new ball than Alzari. I don't know why. That's something to look to see if, and I would think the reason, probably knowing Sammy, the doctor.
Yes. Wait. Yeah, I think they're overrated.
Oh yeah.
And I know.
Look. We all lived in United. Well, you gone back home, but you lived in United States a long time. You followed the NBA, and the last recent playoffs, Boston against Philadelphia, this game 7, Boston put out a starting lineup that everybody was like, the mouth dropped. What? You bringing a guy to start who is a bench warmer, who hardly played the series now in game 7? And many people argue the coach of the Boston Celtics looked at the analytics, rather than got what you see on the court with your eyes and put these guys to start. And it was a disaster. The game started and Philadelphia ran straight ahead and never looked back.
Yeah. Basil, a year ago, we got to go back a year ago.
Yeah.
You had some breaking news on this program concerning, as you would say, Mr. Sinclair.
Right.
And we saw what played out. But
right.
Also, I want to be careful because I can't remember whether you told me in private. I was trying to think my head. But anyhow, as you would say, Mr. Ali Mohammed hasn't played at all. Nobody has said anything.
Well, based on if you remember the famous press conference that they had following Sinclair's non-inclusion.
Yes.
And also in that press conference, they addressed Ali Muhammad because Ali Muhammad had suffered from some groin injury.
Uh-huh.
And according to the physical therapist, the testing that he would have to go through, he had not gone through. And one of the reasons he had not gone through that is because you in Guyana, you know this, there was a whole lot of rain. So nobody could get in a field to do the cricket activities to see if he is ready to play cricket. And so that was what kept him out of the entire first class tournament, that injury for those reasons, right? And again, that also highlights to me why it is most important that Guyana get multiple indoor facilities. I mean, and I talking some decent indoor facilities that you could have put that guy through that in the indoor to ascertain to his fitness. Not and I would say this, and I'm not blaming this current government or the previous government. I think all the governments in Guyana previously, as well as around the Caribbean, have dropped the ball when it comes to indoor, because we are a region that rain often affect our cricket badly, which precludes our players from getting in the work. Because look, we going to Gary Silver's tournament starting next week. We leave, and not this week coming up, the following week. And we got several guys from Guyana on the team, right? And all of those guys are telling us they have not been able to put in no work because of all the rain, the fields wet and whatever, and so on and so forth. Whereas their counterparts around the world get to train 12 months a year. And if you are only going to be able to train 3-4 months a year, how are you going to compete?
Yeah.
We asking for miracles.
Vincent, any comments on this issue?
No, I agree with Basil. We should have, and Basil is correct in terms of facilities within the Caribbean. All year are these academies, and they set up these academies in Antigua, and help people are not. If you get injured in Guyana, you know, every country, and especially Guyana, since we're from Guyana right now with all the oil money, I mean that's no kind of money to spend on a decent indoor facility in Guyana. But Basil is absolutely correct. All the we should have indoor facilities in every single in every single country. That can't cost a whole lot of money.
No, man, no.
I mean, it's a little shed, you know.
Yeah, I mean, in New Zealand, right? I saw videos in New Zealand. They have these indoor things. It's not big, fancy.
No.
They got them all over. It's like a big tent. They got them all over the country, right? So the New Zealand players, when it's their winter and the place is damp and wet and so on, they can train. So I was talking a couple of years ago. I was the physio for a Masters team, and the former New Zealand player Craig Macmillan was on the team. And I asked him about it. He said, man, he said, those things are gold. They really save us because you're able to practice on pitches when the place is raining outside and so on and so forth. And I looked at the thing. I don't see why we can't get these things all over Guyana, right? Because you remember this, both you and Vincent remember, many times Guyana Shell Shield teams would leave the shores without any practice to go into Shell Shield because rain was falling on. Sometimes you didn't even get much trial matches because of all the rain. And so a guy who looking for a place, he could forget it, right? Because they're gonna pretty much pick the team from last year. I mean, this goes on to the 70s.
Yeah, Basil, I come through that because I remember January is a rainy.
Yeah, December, January.
When I made my debut, we had one trial match, and after the trial match, they picked the team for 2 weeks. There was no practice, nothing. You know what I was doing? I was hitting a ball in a sock under the house. There was
Right.
no practice, but you go in and run in the morning, but you cannot practice no plays every day. But let me ask, Basil, do you remember when I played under 19? Even Trinidad, right there at Queen's Park Oval, had an indoor facility. Well, it wasn't a big fancy indoor. It
No,
had
they do. They have a
a
good
shed
one now.
with pitches and everything. I had about 3-4 pitches, you know, with just I think it was a tarpaulin shed right next to the stadium, and that was going back in 1960 in 69. So
Yeah,
you
I mean,
need to have one.
no,
Yeah.
no, Queen's Park. I mean, Trinidad got multiple indoor places now. Multiple.
Yeah, I was listening to a program with Walsh the other day, and he said he when he had just started, just come out on the 19, he got a call from Jackie Hendricks and said Clive is on his way, I think to Australia or England. He couldn't practice in Guyana, and he is in transit in Jamaica, and he want to get some nets. And he said he and Patrick Patterson grab it and they bowled at Clive because Clive couldn't, because we didn't have indoor facility. He couldn't. He went to Jamaica to get. So it's interesting that
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that, I remember a couple of years ago, when India came down to play a test series. I think it was a test series also. And Mr. Hetmeyer received a call from one of our former players, and he asked Hetmeyer, "How is your preparation for the upcoming series?" And Hetmeyer said to him, he hasn't been doing much because the rain has been falling in Barbados. So he said to Hetmeyer, "Well, why don't you go to Georgetown? Or if so, go to Barbados. You got money. Go to Barbados, go to Trinidad, wherever the rain isn't falling, go there and get yourself ready for the series." Well, if you go and check the record, Hetmeyer failed miserably in that series against India because he probably did not get much preparation because he said the rain was falling in Barbados and he wasn't getting much work done. Right? So that when you said that thing about Clive, may reminded me of that situation with Mr. Hetmeyer. I mean, these guys making a lot of money now. You can afford yourself here. I can go to Barbados. All right, look right now, Imlach is playing club cricket in Barbados.
yes, that's what
He made 100 this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yes. Because no cricket is playing in Guyana. So he did the smart thing.
right.
Rather than be sitting down on his dog, because not like Imlach get a contract to go to England or somewhere, he got to play some cricket rather than be sitting down. So Barbados season is going on, and he's playing in Barbados.
Listen to me. Isaiah Thorne, he was in the academy. They take you out of the academy, send you home. Guyana not playing Isaiah Thorne. At one time, he was up there in the pecking order, and if things had gone smoothly, Isaiah Thorne would have been in front Anderson and all these guys in thing. But it's sending back to Guyana, and Guyana not playing him. Y'all talk to me, man.
Isaiah Thorne was supposed to be in Australia right now, right? And I understand he got picked up by one of the CPL teams. I don't know which team I'm trying to find out which team picked him up. So as a result, he's not in Australia.
And what he was going to Australia
He
to
was
going to Australia to play cricket.
great cricket.
Yeah, club cricket. Carl Hooper organized him to got him into a club. Yeah. Both him and Nandu were supposed to be going, but both they got picked up by CPL teams, so that got scrapped.
Wow.
Wow. Again, you see where money. I'm sure that the way what they're gonna get to CPL and what you're gonna get, it's all about the money.
Yeah, because in Australia the experience and the level of cricket because based on what Hoops said to me, that great cricket is like our first class cricket standard.
Yeah.
But the difference is like from a batting perspective, for example, you're gonna run into multiple fast bowlers, real fast bowlers. Got it from grade all the way through in Australian cricket, fast bowlers, right? It's like when Barbados was Barbados in the halcyon days, every club had men who could knock off your head. So whether they were really good, really top class, but they had pace. So that means as a batter, you had to come ready to do battle every weekend, no matter which club you played against.
Dr. Vincent Adams and Basil Butcher. We're back.
Here, I let me bring up something here, Doc.
Yes.
I know Basil and Doc, I know if you all followed this academy team. And this boy named jumped out at Paris. Paris hit 177 in an ODI, and then came back with 99 in a 4-day. And then I think a 60 something or 50 something. But here's the other part of it. Now I'm starting to look. He just came on the scene in 24, I think. Then the next thing I know, the man got into trouble in Antigua. He became a taxi driver.
Yes.
This is the Paris boy that played for Barbados Tridents.
Yeah, Shakir Paris.
So what's happening with these young kids, man?
Yeah. I mean, the other guy too, Rivaldo Clark had some good scores in Sri Lanka.
Clark had 100.
Yeah, Rivaldo Clark, he had some good scores
when you make 177 in an ODI, and this is, it's the second, I guess it's his second team of Sri Lanka.
No, this is just below 18. This is margin. This is margin.
But the 177 and then 99 in the 4-day, and then a 50.
Well, no, a guy like him has to be able to push now to get into the Barbados team. Same with Rivaldo Clark, both of them. To push to get into because Rivaldo Clark is a wicket keeper. And I've heard a lot of good things about his wicket keeping, right? And we looking for a real wicket keeper. You know what I mean? We don't want Mr. Hope behind the stumps. We could
the part that shocked me, the man just come, he's 22 years old, he just come back, he's in Antigua.
Yeah.
And apparently he got the taxi driver, whatever happened to the taxi for some
something happened to the taxi driver, say he's not taking him wherever. I saw the taxi driver get charged. I guess he forgot he was not in Barbados.
Gentlemen, we spoke briefly about a young man last year, and all things being equal, that young man delivered, and I was a little bit disappointed that at least he wasn't traveling around with the team. I'm talking about young Wickham, who I have a lot of time for. I think he's one of the best youngsters that we have, and he reeled off those 3 centuries. He went cold towards the end of the season. He didn't do well in the warm-up match against Sri Lanka, but I felt at least they would have picked him and have him traveling around with the team, because he's clearly top class material. Am I wrong there, Basil?
Look, Wickham is a talented batter. I am not one. I am very cautious. Because you develop eyes for really good players because all 3 of us saw the halcyon days. We know what the good players are. Young Wickham can become that. I am not one. When I look at our first class season, I cannot use our first class season as a measuring rod, right? My thing is, young Wickham played against Sri Lanka. This is an international team, international cricketers. and he did not come to scratch. So I still want to see young Wickham get more grounding. I want to see him. A guy like him, a team. The next time we got a team, young Wickham has to be in. Is one of the guys in the team. I'm not in a rush to rush young Wickham into the test arena. We saw what happened with Mr. Louis, who made all those runs. We put Mr. Louis, and I was against it. I said, Louis, a team, because our first class season, our first class cricket is not a good enough measuring rod for looking at our players. Look, I'll tell you this on that line. Imlach failed the whole season, and I said, if Imlach went in the final on a pitch, which was a difficult pitch to bat, right, against two test quality bowlers in Phillip and Seals, and if Imlach had made a score in that match, he would be in the test team right now. He batted his way out of the team with that failure in that match, right? That was the match for him to erase all the failures in the season because of whom he was playing against, the type of pitch. I was disappointed. And not only that, what made me more disappointed is that Mr. Seals give you all the mouth on the field. And after all the mouth in your field, you're still folding like a cheap tent. Man, come on, man. You're supposed to let your bat do the talking and shut up, Mr. Seals.
Vincent?
I think I agree with you, Doc, and I've always said the same. By the way, they did the same. If you remember, Seals. You remember Seals was on the West Indies touring party. I can't remember which series. Before
New Zealand.
Right before he was even considered to be part of the team. And I think what the West Indies should do, especially you have somebody like a young Wickham. How old is he now?
Probably about 23 or so.
23.
If you've got a young player who's making a ton of runs in the team, at least reward him with being with the team. And I bet you see when you go on those tours, you just learn so much in the nets and with the top players and listening to them. And not to play them in the series or anything, but reward them. They make a ton of runs. As a youngster, you make a ton. Okay, we're going to reward you. You're going to be part of the team. And I agree with Basil that the next A team, he should be in the next A team. But I totally agree with you, Doc. I think that like I said, they did the same thing with Seals, in that tour before he was even considered to be in the West Indies to play. They didn't consider it in the series, but they took him on the
they took him as that was part of the development. But Vincent, fast bowlers is a little different with batters versus fast bowlers in terms of development to the next level. Because if a guy bowling really quick, you might pick a raw guy because pace is pace, right? But you ain't gonna pick no greenback batter who ain't really show, because batting is a larger skill a lot more skill to develop playing at the next level. But I understand the sentiment that they could have had him as a developmental guy because they're at home, and he could have been part of the squad, so to speak, for developmental purposes. But West Indies gonna cry broke, right? I saw they brought in Mr. Paul at a party. They said that Paul was there to cover Roach. But I would ask the question, Niall Smith, in that game, was the outstanding bowler. Both him and Paul played together against the same batter. And he was clearly the outstanding bowler. How come he was not called to cover for Roach rather than Paul?
Yeah.
Niall Smith, there's something about that guy. He produces these balls.
Yes.
I think, and I think he has these balls that are unplayable, and I think that's his strength. And I would have loved to see him although I acknowledge that Paul has worked hard in the last year,
yes,
and he's been consistent. But I would have loved to see Niall Smith, especially in a test match, because I think he has those unplayable balls That's
I agree. I agree. I've said that about Niall Smith. I think he, more than any fast bowler in the West Indies, has these balls that he can get set batters out
yeah,
at any time. Right? He has what we would want to call almost unplayable, but he has that skill. I don't think we have any other bowler that have that skill. It's just that Niall Smith does. I don't think he works as hard on his conditioning as he should. He
oh,
always putting up injury, always this, and a lot of times these injuries these guys get is because of the lack of conditioning, right? Because if you remember when Sri Lanka last came to the region in 2021, he was what we call it for right now, um, with like this guy being part of the setup. Um, Wickham, you remember he stayed back with the team both
yes,
series. I think we then played South Africa after Sri Lanka, if memory serves me correct. But for two series he stayed on with the team, so he was on the cusp, so to speak, and
Mm.
then he slide back. Joseph come and run past cause he was the guy on the pecking order, just like young Tarn was our best young fast bowling prospect, and he has dropped down a few pegs.
Hey, let me, you talk about, those um unusual deliveries that come once in a while from a bowler. I remember, and you guys remember, there was a guy named Basil used to play for DC. You
That's Cooker
remember B?
brother.
No, no, man, that's Coco brother.
Yes.
I didn't even know that. But
Yeah.
anyway, Basil, we used to be wild all over the place, and then Sonny gonna hit you, so you don't know what.
Those are the
No,
worst. Those are the worst fast bowlers you
that's
want to
exactly right. Because he can be wild, wild, and then suddenly he can hit your delivery and and carry away your stumps or something that is unplayable.
you want a consistent fast bowler. See, you know where you're getting. Now, man, gonna come up and bowl a miracle ball out of the blue. You ain't ready for the ball.
Dr. Vincent Adams and Basil
Oh,
Butcher
gee.
Jr., our first program back. And it's good to see so many of you out. Some of you joining late. I guess you all didn't know the program was on, but we're on. We're back. We're back. And gentlemen, as we close out, yeah, prediction on how this third test is going to end.
I think it's heading to a team draw, but I think I want to say something. Vincent could chime in after. I think it would behoove us to not pay our respects to the late Charlie Davis.
Oh,
A lot
yes,
of
yes,
these young people
yes,
today
yes, yes.
do not have a clue as to who was Charlie Davis. I was on a podcast shortly after he passed, and I came on. I said, look, as we were closing, I said, look, I want to pay respects. Me and my brother Brian, we used to call him Uncle Charlie. Call him the old boy was pretty cool. Because I even remember one time when he came to Guyana business, he came up to Linden to visit the old boy. You know, and I said to the guys, I said, this guy averaged 54. They was
Yeah.
like, what? We gotta go and look up this man. They had no clue who Charlie Davis was, right? And I then even told them, I said, he got 100 at headquarters that Mr. Lara does not have. He was the first Trinidadian to get 100 at headquarters, you know. But he is one of those people that got like parked away in the wilderness that people don't talk about. And I think I again want to extend my condolences to the Davis family and Uncle Charlie, as we called him, me and my brother Brian, as youngsters. You
And
know,
and he got a brother, Brian.
Brian, yes, yeah. Because my father's last Shell Shield match against Trinidad in 1971. I don't have a lot of memories of the match, but there was some things I remember vividly. My father making 100, Richard D'Souza and Prince Bartholomew making 95, not 95 each in the first inning. And they both came back in the second inning and made 50s. And Charlie Davis getting double duck.
Vincent, you played against him.
No,
You never played against him?
No, but he was yes, I did at Trinidad. But he was be off the field one of the nicest human beings. I knew him personally. I remember when I played on the 19 in Trinidad and he saw me, and I made a 99 against Jamaica, and immediately he came up to me afterward, and he was arranging for me to go play league cricket in England. And it so happened the same time he was making the arrangement through his I think his brother Brian was playing for, I think it was Glamorgan.
Yeah.
And I got into the automobile accident during the same period of time. And when I came back, as soon as I came back, I made 100 into county, and of course, I couldn't get back in the Ghana team. And I remember him coming to Ghana, and he told me, he said, how come you're not in this Ghana team? Because apparently he didn't hear about the accident. I said, well, probably I'm making enough runs. He said, you're making enough runs. And I never forget this. Never forget these words. He told me, he said, around with you, with your talent. He said, anybody, he said, never look at the scoreboard, but for time. And he said, here's my philosophy. He said, when I'm leaving the dressing room, I just tell my mates, I said, I'm going to see you at lunch. After lunch, I'm going to see you at tea time. After tea, I'm going to see you at close of play. He said he never looked at the scoreboard. So he bought it for time. And that's why when I look at this Django kid, I think he's got a lot of, because Django plays shots. He used to play shots too, but they know when to play them. They had that discipline. He had that discipline. And if you notice, when he make 100, he used to make big 100.
183.
And
you remember the 183, Doc?
I remember the 183 like yesterday.
I remember listening to that on the radio. The little boy, 183, yeah, man.
Made them when you needed them, when the team in trouble. But he had that discipline. But he was just a great gentleman off the field, as Basil alluded to. Nice guy, really nice guy.
In 1969, when I, as a 10-year-old, first started listening cricket, and he's playing in Australia as a medium fast bowler, batting at number 8 or number 9. And by the time you get to 71, 72, he's the top batter, And at 74, he's gone. And Vincent, I think you did say on this program that he had to make a choice between business and playing cricket.
No, I think it's Basil that told me that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I understand.
You know Basil, yes.
Yeah, I understand. It was, he had to make a choice between his employment and cricket, because he didn't play for Trinidad after 73.
After 73, no, 74 he was done.
Yeah, I went back and I looked up his career a couple of years ago. I was looking up his career, and I noticed that I didn't realize he did not play Shell Shield cricket after 1973. Last games he played, in Trinidad, there's got this North-South game and so on and so forth. Those were the last games he played. He played, last one was in 75. He played one in and 2 he played in 74. So I was really surprised, because you remember he played the last 2 tests against Australia in 73. And then he went to England. He didn't go to England. And then I was told, I think I remember hearing the old boy them saying that it was something to do with the job, wasn't giving him the time off to go. And if you remember, in those days, those guys were cricketers, they were not professional cricketers. They had a 9 to 5.
They had a job.
You had a 9 to 5. You get time off to go and play on a tour, and then when you come back home, you're back to work. And depending on who you're working for, you're gonna get a time off.
But let me.
When you tell youngsters that today,
it's totally different. Totally different.
And you know what was funny, Vincent? You know this. Despite the fact you work your 9 to 5, you turned up 3 times a week to practice in the afternoon.
Absolutely. No, but now I know in '69 when I played, he did not play in that shell shield.
No, he was in
No, no, no.
Australia.
He
Yeah, he was in Australia.
That's right. I just
He was
He
in
was in
Australia.
Australia.
yeah, he didn't play.
Yeah.
Yep. Somebody on our chat, somebody, and I did not even realize that this Bethel kid, his grandfather, I played
Arthur
against his
Bethel.
grandfather. I think
Arthur
he was the
Patel is
captain.
grandfather.
Arthur Bethel is grandfather. Yes.
I played
State of
against him.
Barbados.
And if I didn't realize was his grandfather, but I played against him. I think he was the
Right.
captain of the Barbados team, and I
Yeah,
played.
he was a captain in '69. Yes.
Bethel, Branco, Royal Branco.
Yeah,
Bethel.
Rob Branco played in that.
Yeah. Peter
Shepard played. Van Born was on that team.
Shepard.
Ron Shepard, yes.
Shepard used to get it to come off of a razor off of a good length. I remember Kali had just gotten dropped. Kali played the first game in the Island St. Kitts. He failed in both innings. I made 47 and something as camera. We go to Jamaica and he was actually dropped. He was dropped in the Jamaican game, and St. John made 40 something. And when we went back home, they still dropped St. John to bring back Kali. And I remember Kali came in and Shepard hit him a little bumper. The ball hit his glove and popped up with Celie Medan and Colin Blades. The ball rolled right through his hand. He was on 7. And Kali made 63. But if Kali had failed, he would have been dropped the next game. He made 63 and then come back and think the next game made 99.
And St. John didn't play for Guyana until towards the end of the 70s, I think.
No, he played. Afterwards.
Yeah. St. John
Yes.
St. John didn't play for Guyana for a few years.
Yes.
Towards the end of the 90s, I think 77 or 78, they brought him back.
Yeah.
Everybody, I remember as a small boy thinking St. John now making his debut.
Nah.
And then Rex Pereira commentating and said St. John played way back in
1969.
69.
Yeah, 69.
Clot St. John, East Bank man. Gentlemen, thank you all very much. You all didn't miss a beat, and it's good that we're back. And I'll see you all next week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks all very much. Dr. Vincent Adams and Basil Butcher Jr. Always a stimulating discussion about our cricket. And cricket, as you know, is more than a game for us. It's culture. It's politics. It's sociology. And that is why C.L.R. James is Beyond the Boundary, the greatest sociology book and also the greatest cricket book, could only be written by a West Indian. I'll see you all next week. Tomorrow is CARICOM Day. And for those of you who are politically inclined, there is a demonstration at Buxton at 10 o'clock against the pensions bill. Not the pensions, the benefits bill, former president's benefits bill. There is going to be a demonstration organized by Cam Stevie, supported by WPA and other groups. So come down to Buxton tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning as we draw attention to the pensioners bill. I'll see you all tomorrow, Politics 101, and next week we will be back here. Cricket, lovely cricket.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys.